This week's guest keeps becoming more and more of a relevant guest for this week. From a Michigan, Indiana standpoint, if you follow the Homefield Twitter account, you know they're rabid Indiana fans. But also, if you were following on social media earlier this week, you saw the big announcement that Homefield's big new Saturday release, special additional release this Saturday, will be the University of Michigan. So I'm happy to bring on Connor from Homefield to kind of talk about all this stuff. Connor, thank you for joining us.
Hey, Scott, thanks for having me. And anytime I can talk about apparel and Indiana football, I'm always in. So
there you go. So yeah, the big news came, kind of a surprise drop. You were labeling it as counting up the winner of season 1 of the sort of sales competition, and then you have this secret reveal that no, there is Michigan gear coming on Saturday. So
yes.
How long did you know this Michigan drop was coming, and how hard was it to sort of keep it as a secret?
Exceedingly hard. We've known for about a month and a half that we had the Michigan license and we were going to be able to release them in Big News Saturday. So we started Big News Saturday, which for those unfamiliar is a campaign that we at Homefield are doing where starting July 11th, we launch one new school a week on our website. And we treat it like a whole big event every noon Eastern on Saturday, kind of taking after the big noon Saturday that Fox Sports has been doing with these college football games. We made a big news Saturday. And we started out with Tulane. It's been building. In the middle of this campaign, it was picking up a bunch of traction on social media. And that's when we started conversations again with Michigan. They were on board. And so we've known since about mid-September. And we've been really excited about it. And we thought, Michigan, anywhere you go, would be the most requested school. But we have a large concentration of Michigan followers, probably because we're based in Indianapolis. Close enough to Michigan, and Michigan's everywhere, but
yeah.
we had to keep it under wraps, and we thought since it was a school that we were really excited about and had a lot of potential, and we got so many requests for it, we wanted to pretend like it wasn't going to happen in season 1 of Big News Saturday, season 2 sometime in 2021, and so we just pretended for the longest time that Big News Saturday was going to end on October 31st with the Alabama launch last week. And then Monday, we were about to reveal as you said, the sales standings, which has been a fun competition that we do. And instead of using our release video to announce sales, we use it to announce that we were actually extending Big News Saturday by another week, and Michigan was going to be the last school. So that was a lot of fun, a little rope-a-dope on people. And we're just really excited to launch this collection this upcoming Saturday.
Yeah, it was very cool. I was surfing Twitter and got on the live video out of complete curiosity to see who won. And once I heard the Michigan Fight song playing in the background, it takes a lot to get like an audible, like, oh, heck yeah. But I actually reacted like that. So one of the really cool things about all the Homefield gear is it's all officially licensed, things like that. I imagine that's been a holdup with getting some of these schools on board. What's kind of the difficulty of securing a license, and why is it so important to y'all to ensure this stuff is officially licensed?
Yeah, one, we always want to make sure we're officially licensed with everything. We want to ensure that we're good partners to the university, that we work together to advance the brand, that graduates and fans can feel comfortable that, yep, my university or my team has signed off on this. Always really important for us to play by the rules, and we just love it. It allows us opportunities to work with universities, frankly, doing a bunch of different partnerships and promotions and whatnot. With schools like Michigan, there's no lack of potential suitors to make apparel, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for smaller schools, a lot of smaller schools will come to us and ask, but when you're a brand the size of Michigan or Alabama, literally 2 of the biggest licensed brands in the United States, you can be really choosy. And so as a small apparel startup like us, we launched in 2018 out of Indianapolis. We have to prove, that we're doing something different. Michigan doesn't want to license us just to add another licensee. they have plenty of people that can do what we do. So we had to prove in our marketing and our distribution and our production, all of those areas, in our design especially, that we were unique and different, and we were additive, and we weren't just cutting the pie up in a different way for Michigan, but we were growing it and adding, even more importantly than the sales, adding something that is unique and helps advance their brand. So it's a tough sales pitch, especially when you're such a young company.
Yeah, absolutely. So focusing on that unique part, for people that haven't seen a lot of the gear, how can you kind of describe sort of Homefield's aesthetic, and out of all these schools that you've been releasing each week, obviously you have your Alabamas, your Auburns, your real popular ones. I've got some Slippery Rock gear. There's more smaller stuff like that. What's kind of been some of the favorite and like most unique things you guys have put out so far?
Mm-hmm. The word we use internally and externally to communicate what we do is thoughtfulness. Some people would say vintage, and that definitely aligns. We want to tell the history and story of a university, some lesser known stories. Like, for example, we have a powder blue Indiana University football t-shirt because in 1958, Coach Phil Dickens decided it was time to reverse the fortunes of the program. Yes, in 1958, they knew that about Indiana football. And so we wore powder blue jerseys for a year. So we thought it'd be a cool storytelling avenue to do that. So it's vintage, but it's also thoughtful. There's always classic designs. Like if you take a look at our Alabama collection, there's the classic elephant with the A. We're not going to miss out on that. That wasn't like that. That didn't take us hours to dig up. But then we'll also dig up designs like for Syracuse, Vita the Goat. They had a goat mascot in the 1920s. And so we made a shirt with Vita the Goat on it, and it sold great. There are also, for every school, you have to, it's not just whatever we can find and the school approves it. It has to fit within their brand guidelines. So I'm actually wearing this shirt right now for Indiana. If you remember the Randall L years, they wore a very San Francisco 49ers looking logo on their helmets. Mm-hmm. And IU hates that mark university-wide. But we did a whole thing last year with the IU football shirt of the week, and we were the Gator Bowl vendor and all this stuff, magical season for IU football. Well, we petitioned IU licensing to let us do a limited run of the oval, and they approved it. But there are certain marks that, even though they have history and a story, certain universities don't want out there. They want more control of the brand. You totally get it. We're good partners, and so we want to ensure we are helping drive the brand forward and tell the story and not add to brand confusion. So with Michigan, we have some really great vintage marks that the university signed off on. And then there's some that we found that the university said, maybe not yet, just because we want to aid in their telling of the story. So there might be some people on Saturday that are like, well, why don't you use this Wolverine? I promise you we've seen it. It's either discretion and we're holding it back for later, or we're talking through the university about it, and how it can best achieve their goals while simultaneously achieving our goals, which, to the licensing conversation on the whole, we want to be in step with one another.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense. So obviously you guys have had a great sort of marketing campaign, the big new Saturday, rolling stuff out at noon each Saturday, and that's when Michigan's is coming this week. Is there any sort of hint, sneak previews you can give without sort of scooping yourselves on your big reveal on Saturday?
Yeah, there's actually one. It's not even as much vintage as it is the story of Michigan. We do have a shirt. We haven't seen a shirt with this yet in our research, but we do have an M Club banner shirt, which we're really excited about. Nice. That'll be cool. And there's, some of the old vintage marks that you can think of immediately, like the sailor hat Wolverine, those kind of ones. But there's a few more unique designs in there, like the M Club Supports You banner that we're excited about. We're going to hold it back a little bit. We are going to tease out a few of them. We typically Thursday and Friday will take a close-up photo and tweet it out. But yeah, we're excited for those.
Very cool. So the other thing happening at noon on Saturday is Michigan and Indiana are actually playing on a football game. Was
game
the timing...
no one ever looks forward to. No team ever looks forward to that game.
So preseason, I did a sort of Michigan season preview, reached out to all these writers, columnists that cover the team, and I think there were 19 in total. And I was like, what's the trap game, what's the game that scares you the most that you have circled on your calendar, and 16 of the 19 people said Indiana. So y'all are getting a little bit of respect, a little bit of fear.
Yep.
And I think that's probably only sort of intensified the way the first couple weeks of the season's gone so far. So I know you're Indiana. I know you have sort of this built-in. You want to self-neg yourself almost, but there's got to be some excitement going into this year's game, right?
Yes, but with trepidation, as always is with this game. I mean, anybody listening to this, and you know, I mean, there've been 2 overtime games in the last 5, and the other ones, even if they end up multiple scores, they're dangerously close until, you know, Indiana invents new ways to allow, I don't know, Jeremy Gallen to get a quarter-mile receiving yards. Who knows? But, I feel confident. We beat Penn State. Post-game win expectancy, according to SP Plus, of 5%. So, I mean, who knows if we actually played a good game or if we just got exceedingly lucky or a little bit of both. Rutgers, we put a decent showing out there. I'm a little nervous on the offense, which was so spectacular last year. Kalen DeBoer leaves to go to Fresno State. All the innovation that he brought to the offense seems to be regressing a bit, handing the reins over to one Nick Sheridan, who
familiar name in these parts, yeah.
Yeah, maybe comes from the line of the Mike DeBoer school. Who knows? We don't know. But all that to say, I mean, Mike Penix is a phenomenal talent, and we don't know if they're just trying to acclimate him back into the offense after he was out for nearly a year, right? He hasn't taken many snaps. He throws significantly harder than Peyton Ramsey, who was great in his 2.5 years as IU's quarterback, but not nearly as talented as Penix. So, yeah, there's reasons I can point out. I can say Michigan's secondary is bad and Walt Phillier is amazing, but who knows if our offensive line can hold up, you know. I'm just always, on the whole, though, even if zooming out, it's Indiana and Michigan, and we haven't won since '87, and my stomach gets sick when I think about the game every time.
Well, I know how that goes in different Michigan rivalries, so we're aware of being on this side of things too. You mentioned '87. I think that's the last time Indiana's been ranked as high as they have been so far. Yep. Just sort of state of the program, where everything's at. Probably the best you felt as an Indiana football fan in your lifetime?
Absolutely. Yes. Oh, absolutely. The best we felt in our lifetime. I mean, we love Tom Allen. He's not only just fired up about Indiana and is doing a great job and gets everybody built around the LEO, love each other mantra, but I mean, he's from Indiana too, which is cool, right? Mm-hmm. And so that just means something. But I mean, last year we come out and we come dangerously close to that 9-win Indiana campaign. I mean, I've had a discussion with a friend, like, what do you want 2 years ago? Like, what would be acceptable for Indiana football? And it would just be, you know, win 6 to 7 games every year. And then maybe every 4th year you have like an 8-win season. And Tom Allen has certainly raised the bar to that level. I mean, if we weren't in the Big Ten East, I think that would have been achieved much quicker, right? It's really unfortunate for us to be in the Big Ten East because we have 3 to 4 teams that are typically always ahead of us. But it's the best this program's been in my life. Terry Hepner built it up to something in the mid-2000s until his unfortunate passing. So there's a lot of hope then, but I think even more so now, there's the most optimism that's ever been around the program. And relative to our normal recruiting, obviously in the Big Ten, we're still not like flying up the board. I think we're typically 11th or 12th still in the Big Ten, but relative to our normal recruiting, like we have locked up a 4-star quarterback from Indianapolis to follow right up after Penix. So there's a lot of momentum, and there's never excitement about Indiana football until now. Like, people are really excited about Indiana football.
It's got to be a good feeling. So where rivalries, things like that. I
Yeah.
know the Michigan game is circled on there.
Yeah.
It's also Indiana staff has kind of got a weird makeup because you've got Nick Sheridan and Mike Hart,
Yeah.
so it kind of got the honorary Michigan thing going on. But there's also
Yep.
it feels like Michigan is a game that Indiana fans kind of circle. Where
Yeah.
I talked Minnesota, Illinois, kind of a lot of these other schools sort of feel like Michigan's their rival, but I'm not. I
Yep.
don't have a great sense of where it stands on that school's hierarchy. So where does Michigan kind of fit in the Indiana fan hierarchy?
I wouldn't go as far to call it a rival because Michigan certainly wouldn't call us a rival, and it'd be kind of pathetic if we said that. And then it's kind of like our relationship with Kentucky right now in basketball, maybe.
Oh, okay.
No, I do think people circle it every year. It's different than the Ohio State game for us. It feels attainable. Ohio State always kind of feels like smoke and mirrors, whereas like Michigan in 2015, I was on the fence line ready to jump over and rush the field until you guys score as time expires and then win in overtime and then, all that. Like it feels attainable to us. So I think it's more just like this would be so great to have this game. I would say, in terms of football, rivalry might be too strong a word. There's always going to be the Purdue game. It's Purdue. But I think Michigan is the team next that we've had the most back and forths with in the last few years. Really the last probably 10. Anything going back to the Bill Lynch gum game, essentially. Rivalry is too strong a word, but it's definitely the second most heated or emotional contest, maybe, is the best way to put that.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense for sure. I don't know if you get in the prediction game or not. Do you have thoughts going into Saturday's game? You want to put anything on the record?
It's funny. I love Indiana football because I don't understand the game of football very well. I'm from Indiana. I love the sport of basketball. I coach high school basketball. I feel like when I watch basketball, I can get really analytical and explain why. Football is completely primal for me, which is why I love it. It's all emotional for me. So everything going into this game is based off of emotions. So I did the stupid analysis I have was, had Michigan not lost to Michigan State, I would have felt great about Indiana. But now I feel like Michigan's coming off pissed after losing to Michigan State. And in my mind, it's not, strategy or game plan. It's, they just want it more, which is a total hacky thing to say. But my gut just feels like Indiana ends up losing a close one because also maybe I want to emotionally prepare myself. But I also really believe in Mike Penix and Walt Fillier, Stevie Scott. The defense has been awesome. That is one part. Even with the offense shaking, the defense has been really good. In my gut, I feel like Michigan wins, but I think that's because close, like it always is. But I think it's just because I'm preparing myself.
Well, if that's a hacky way to go into games, I think you basically described my approach multiple times into how I do things. So you have company there if you do consider that a fallacy. But I think it's gonna be a really good game, real exciting game, and an exciting day overall with what y'all are launching to at noon. So any final pitches, instructions for Michigan fans eager to see what's dropping this weekend?
Yes. So noon Eastern on Saturday as the kickoff happens, as we all have that terrible foreboding feeling in our stomachs that both fan bases feel before this game. Do some retail therapy at homefieldapparel.com. Our Michigan collection will be on the homepage. You can also, if you dare, follow us on Twitter to see updates. And just a fair warning, I'm going to turn into a rational person at 12:01 p.m. Eastern on Saturday. So you will see plenty of tweets about Michigan apparel, while also Indiana football. But no, really, it's a really good collection. Our designer, funny enough, our creative director, Krista, is from Michigan, grew up a huge Michigan fan. Her dad was Rick Leach's and Wangler's backup. So there's a lot of Michigan history steeped in there. Had him go to their attic and pull some old Rose Bowl jackets and whatnot out to find some inspiration even. So it'll be a collection that, regardless of the fact that they're playing Indiana that day, will be very respectful to Michigan's history and we're really excited about it and have had a lot of fun already interacting with the Michigan fan base online.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, speaking from someone on the Michigan side of the fan base, I can say we share the excitement. Excited to see what drops, and at least some of us are excited for the actual game on Saturday too. Although I think there are some lingering injuries and mental wear and tear after the Michigan State game. So I think it'll be really interesting to see how it plays out. But definitely recommend following Connor or the Homefield account on Twitter. Anyone listening to this podcast probably follows me on Twitter, and they're very used to irrational tweeting during games. So yours will actually balance things out and make for a enjoyable experience. So yeah, thank you so much for taking the time. I know it's a busy week, and we'll let you get back to it. But thanks for sharing some insight, sharing some excitement for this week, and we will talk to you soon.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks again, Scott. I really appreciate you having us on, and I am very nervous and excited for noon Eastern on Saturday.
For multiple reasons. All right.
Yes, all right. Absolutely.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, Scott. Bye.
Thanks, everyone, for listening. That is it for this week. One final annoying reminder. If you have not given this a like, if you have not subscribed to this channel, please take a couple seconds out of your day and do that. And we will see you back here next week.